fucking around with the children tonight.
Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him.
You all right?
Hey, that's your lieutenant governor. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? That's your lieutenant governor.
God damn, dude.
What do you guys think you're doing? What do you guys think you're doing? What is this, a criminal? This ain't a criminal. This is a citizen. You guys are done. You guys are done.
Call 911. What are you doing? I don't get shot like this. I get one month and not been arrested. I'd be damned if a security guard working for the people are going to show me around. No. You're not going to show me around anymore.
Yo, leave it alone, guys.
No,
come on, bro. Come on, bro.
You understand me? Do you understand me?
Oh my God! Somebody build it! Build it!
First Amendment rights! First Amendment rights! First Amendment rights!
All you gotta do is
Who are you?
I'm working here. All you gotta do is walk.
What are you doing?
I'm asking you to leave.
You're violating our First Amendment rights.
I know.
You guys are horrible, bro. Dude, you just hurt an old man. You just hurt an old man. You guys work for communists. Clark County Communist Party. Clark County Communist Party. Clark County Communist Party. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech.
We're calling an emergency. You can't stop us from calling an emergency. No. You can't stop us from calling an emergency.
What do you guys think you're doing?
You guys are hurting people. Are you kidding me? You guys are hurting people.
Everyone, hope everybody is doing okay today. Feel sorry for Mack Miller and everybody else that went through all this drama about 12 hours ago. By the way, in a few minutes, I'm going to be turning 29 years old. Anyway, what these security and police officers did, which I don't know which body do these police actually work for, was absolutely harsh and it was cruel. There was no question about it. There was a dispute about freedom against the double standards, how the county commissioners, they're able to drink coffee while sitting down. They're able to be maskless while others don't have the same privileges. They believe that some people are above the law. And by the way, if they really cared about safety, if they're tired of all these disruptions, once again, and I've told you this before, why don't they allow Zoom call-in meetings? You hardly ever hear about that, right? If they don't really want people to get sick, they can just call in, and then it's harder for people to shout out and interrupt or clap. But again, it kind of shows that this is not really about the health and safety. This is about control. Other counties, other government bodies do that. Think about it. And of course, our time is not wasted. The time it takes us to dress up, get there, all of that. But here's the problem. These scums, they introduce a legislation to talk about how there is essentially misinformation going on. And again, this shows that they are panicking. It shows that they're losing the narrative. These scums, they don't want to actually debate you to prove that they're right about the vaccines, about COVID-19, about the masks, about the lockdown, everything that they're telling you. They're just cramping down on other voices. Well, then this shows that we're right, because we suspect the way you're doing this, it's absolutely suspicious. And that's why we don't want to take the vaccine. You're showing your desperation. They're also panicking, despite the fact that they claim, well, oh, we're a blue county, but the vaccination rate is not showing it. And you have to be understanding the fact that Las Vegas, Clark County, is largely a service sector economy. So you would think the vaccination rate would be much above average given these two considerations, but it's not. They're panicking. So they're trying to cramp down on other people's information. Anyway, what was going on is there was a huge crowd. It was getting louder. They were demanding freedom of speech. They were obsessed about these commissioners, how they were behaving. And of course, as you know, one side, they're not going to take any responsibility. They're not going to admit that, oh, okay, that they're being pushy and picky about certain rules. It's so strict. It's so unnecessary. They don't want to bear responsibility that the way they're handling these meetings is absolutely inappropriate, how they're so out of touch. It's always their fault. It's like, let's say you're driving and somebody rear ends you. You just blame the driver. You don't blame the fact that your taillights were out. This is the complete double standard what's going on. Now, let's focus on Mack Miller. Now, I don't trust the guy. I don't know him too well. I've heard about the story that happened to him overseas. However, what was going on is that the security personnel were being very pushy and picky. And Mack Miller, he asked, what's his badge number? And apparently they refused. And they were creating tension. The officers were pushing. Mack Miller didn't calm down. And as a result, as the situation accelerated, they basically dragged him out. And as a result, what we find is that once they dragged him out, they were trying to push him out of the metal detector. But because the metal detector wasn't able to fit the two guards because it wasn't wide enough, as a result, Mack Miller fell to the ground, believe it or not. And they see that as a form of harsh treatment. They see this as a form of some kind of assault, some kind of irresponsible, reckless security and police. That's what happened. They didn't even say that they were sorry or they screwed up. Now, of course, the question is, did Mr. Miller fake it? I doubt it. And what about Black Lives Matter? Did Black Lives Matter say anything? Because the guards and the guy who got dragged down, Mack Miller, is African American. Think about it. So what's going on? Where is Black Lives Matter? Not to mention that they took Mr. Miller to a clinic. His injuries weren't severe, but it's good to basically see what's going on. By all means, what this really shows you is that our society is experiencing a breakdown. This isn't just a one little incident that's just going to go away and you're never going to hear it until like 3, 4, 5 months later. No. What's happening is we're seeing the corporate fascist state, the deep state, is intensifying their efforts because more and more people are speaking out. Because more and more people are not being these good little citizens and acting like sheeple. In the last 2 years, in the last 15 years or whatever, more and more people have been speaking out. There's been more protests. More and more people are awake. They're speaking against the establishment. And what's really the problem, they just want to put their blame at these puppet commissioners. That's not what it is. You have Wall Street, which is a power grab, which controls the casino elites. The major casinos they control. MGM, Caesars, MGM mainly Jim Murren, who was part of the COVID task force, all these different things. And what happens is they're in bed with these non-governmental organizations because these NGOs, they need an activist group. Ooh, they're helping for the community, Mi Familia Voda, the Hispanic, the Asian voice, the Culinary Union. They bust these people to the polls. And we know the Culinary Union is heavily in bed with the casino elites. They support many similar politicians, many similar policies. And that's how you get these scum county commissioners in office. Now, to be credit, I will give one of them, Mr. Gibson, credit for voting no on this. And he responded to me in the LVCVA meeting. The thing is that they know that people are waking up, and as a result of all this, they're using the police and the security to essentially cramp down on everything that's going on. And Mack Miller is not alone. We've seen this in these CCUSD meetings. We've seen this in town hall meetings. And we've seen it with me many, many times. I've sent you these videos, not recently, but going all the way back to 2018. And actually a lot further than that, because back then, I was in 2016 and before, I was living in Southern California at that time. But they're using the police, they're using security to intimidate people. Remember, these people are supposed to be about the safety of the community. But now what's really, really happening is we're seeing that people who are speaking out, people who are mentioning things that the opposition doesn't like, they can use vague statements and say, hey, okay, you're disturbing the peace, you're creating a disruption, your voice is a little bit loud, we don't want you here, we're going to throw you out. And then when they make a tiny little incident and it gets out of hand, they want to get you fired up. So then the incident grows, and then they have more evidence to use against you to create a much more chaotic event. That's what they're trying to do. And don't get me wrong, it's not just the anti-vax people that they're against, they're pushing around. The Metro Police, they were very harsh against BLM. I was there at the riots. You saw what was going on last year when I went live. It was absolutely horrible. So don't think they're really taking one side. What's happening is they're protecting the corporate and the political elites of the state of Nevada. They're basically tools, they're servants. Now, let me give you a story about what I went through. Now, believe me, my name is CyrusHojjaty. I've never been arrested. And I've never even been dragged out or touched by security or law enforcement personnel. But many times I've been apprehended by the police. Many times I've been apprehended by security. I can give you a number of incidents. And it doesn't have to be political events. You've seen me protest these scumbag home builders and developers where I go in public arterials or public areas where I thought it'd be. And then I protest. I say these homes are overpriced, low quality, poor architecture, horrible urban planning. All of that. We're in a housing bubble. Boom. Within 5 minutes, they send the police. They try to trespass me. It happened in Henderson. It happened in Northtown. It happened in the Southwest along Rainbow Boulevard. They're scums, okay? These officers, as it seems, these corporate elites, they're using law enforcement to try against opposition. And the builders, this wasn't a political event. This was a consumer, financial, and architectural, whatever related interest event that was going on. This is how horrible things are. And you know what? If they don't like my ideas, it's their responsibility to respond to my claims. But they don't. When I tell them about gated areas as a scam, what they do is they send police at me, try to trespass me. Well, guess what? Just like the incident that happened at CCUSD that proved that gated areas are a scam. The fact that they don't debate you proves everything. Absolutely. When they're walking away. It's not just the SJW types who say, oh, you're just a racist. And they do this to me many times. When it comes to church, they said, oh, you made some people uncomfortable. Security had to just literally say, no, you can't come in. You're banned. They didn't want to debate. They didn't want to argue with me. They have police guarding these churches. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, Vegas has become a corporate fascist police state, for God's sakes. It's disgusting. And then let's go on to the public events. You guys remember back in 2019 when a lot of Trump supporters were out there. And again, I wasn't speaking out right-wing talking points. Right after the Susie Lee town hall meeting ended, what was going on? I was trying to talk to Susie Lee. Then they had the guard just come in front of me. Now, Susie Lee was talking to the Trump supporter, but she wasn't talking to me. And then she blocked me, and then I started raising my voice. And then what they did is they just tried to move her away from me. They didn't explain what was going on. And then, of course, when you get more frustrated, they use it as a catalyst to throw you out, to trespass you. And it said, for what grounds? This is a public event. I'm not creating any harm. I'm not physically engaging with anybody. But it doesn't matter. When they don't like your opinions, they can use that against you. It's public property. They don't even explain. I think it was the principal that said, yeah, well, you have to go. You have to get out of the building. And this was after when the event ended. Think about it. And even the same high school, I believe, there was a gun control forum. And even before I got into the event, some angry feminist woman starts screaming at me and say, oh, he's with his megaphone, he's disrupting. And this huge black guy security guard was like, yeah, you know what? You're being trespassed. This is private property. I'm like, hell no. This is a public school. We pay taxpayer funds. And don't get me started with the library. You recall what happened at the library. Remember when they were out there? I went inside the event. They gave me no warnings. I barely made any interruptions other than ow. And then I left the event because I didn't want to see the propaganda video. And this angry woman starts yelling and screaming at me in the hallway and said, don't raise your voice at me. And then we walked towards close to outside the meeting room. And then they were accusing me of being loud, even though my voice was just about the same as everybody else. I was defending my rights. I was giving my viewpoints because they were asking me questions. I was waiting for my friend to recover its paperwork. And then they said, all of a sudden, you're being trespassed. They didn't offer any evidence, no wrongdoing. And then those sons of bitch police officers, there was like 7 of them, they nearly arrested me. Can you believe it? The same thing that happened to Mack Miller, it was about the same thing that happened to me. And I wasn't even in the event. I didn't even get kicked out of the event. They're even more harder and harsher than me than they are with Mack Miller. Think about it. It's absolutely disgusting. And by the way, the reports I'm filing to the Attorney General is under process, believe it or not. But again, this is what their whole plan is. And let's talk about casinos at the Venetian. I couldn't get into a Mike Pence event. I was just waiting and wandering around the hotel, waiting for my friends. And then I come back inside the hotel the second time at the same day. And yet an army of security guards says, you're being trespassed. We want your ID. You're out. It's unbelievable. They didn't explain any reason, nothing. And then guess what these scumbags do? They grab your license plate number and they share the information with other hotels and casinos, because they share security information. So what happened to me at the Wynn was the fact that me, my mom, my aunt, we were looking around. Next thing you know, we saw security guards just standing right there, giving just a weird posture. And they said, yeah, well, your car is suspicious. We want your ID. They threatened to drag me to Metro Police if I didn't give them my ID. They didn't say any wrongdoing. What did I do wrong? They just said your car was suspicious. They held my ID for 45 minutes. And guess what? They trespassed me. Unbelievable. It felt like it was a clear violation of rights. They had no right to take my ID like that. But again, this is what they do. When they don't have to give you a clear reason, they don't like you, they can just suspect that you're creating harm or some kind of trouble. When they disagree with you, they try to cramp down on you with these security, these police officers like a mob. It really is. It's really a disgusting mob operation in Las Vegas. And they try to destroy your reputation. They want to make sure that you are discouraged from speaking out. They want to put you in the gutter, just like they did with Mack Miller. And folks, if you want to end to all of this, if you're sick and tired of all this crap, folks, what you need to do is you need to do more than just suing, reporting. You need to obviously understand how these scums got into power. Remember, it's MGM Resorts, Jim Murren, and I will say this hundreds of times. The casino elites, the big money donors, their union tools like Culinary. Remember, a lot of these commissioners wouldn't be in power without the Culinary union. And I know election rigging, yes, that all sounds reasonable. And again, not to mention the Mi Familia organization, which is capitalizing, which is pandering to illegal aliens. Increasingly, remember, Commissioner Sickerbloom, All these scums, Justin Jones, are pandering to illegal aliens. They're trying to get them citizenship, DACA renewals. Why? Because remember, they know the opposition is growing, so they need to build a base to counter us, to replace us, to act like, oh, these are people who serve the community. We need physical bodies to show, okay, they support us, and not to mention they get them as voters or indirectly help them politically by obviously manipulating the districts. What do you think they're trying to bring in these Haitians, all these migrants at the border? They're trying to help their political causes. They're Afghan refugees. What do you think this is all about? This is replacement. They don't want you. They don't give a shit about you. They know that you are standing up, so they're bringing others to replace you. It's about power. It's about control. It's about world domination. Wake up, people. When are you going to get this through your head, ladies and gentlemen? It's absolutely disgusting. And by the way, how are these people going to get by? We have a housing bubble. Home prices are overvalued. What happens when the market blows up? We're already seeing signs of it. How are these migrants going to get jobs? The stimulus is running out. How is the economy going to function? There's now talks about debt ceiling fiasco. How are these migrants going to get government benefits? What about all these jobs that are going to be displaced by technology? Folks, you need to start asking these questions. We are really heading into a horrible, horrible, disastrous tornado cyclone event. It's absolutely disgusting. All this proves that we are experiencing a breakdown, a complete drag down of society. It's disgusting, folks. It's difficult, I know. And you know what, something? I should be frustrated. I'm healthy. I know where my next meal is coming. I got a roof over my head. I've benefited from the stock market. I've got a lot of skills. I don't need to worry about this. But you know what? I care about the community. This is not about me. This is about all of you. I could be spending my time taking my funds, going to some tropical island partying. But no, I'm here to serve the public. I want to serve the community. And it's important that you take not only his experience, but all of our experiences to use it against them.